Does the MP7 finally have competition? Let's talk about it. Hey guys, Nightfall here, and today I want to talk about how I feel about the MP5 post-patch. First, we need to cover what they actually changed on it, and then quickly go over the build that I used, and then get into my final thoughts on it. So for starters, what's different about it? Well, if we take a look at the patch notes, they increased the short range damage from 13 to 14, and then also increased the headshot multiplier from 1.35 to 1.4. They also increased short range from 16 to 18 meters and medium range from 25 to 27 meters. Now let's take a quick look at the build that I'm using, and I did try the heavy barrel on this one before the rapid fire and it just wasn't doing it justice. So I moved to a muzzle booster rapid fire combo along with a super light front rail for faster ADS speed, an extended mag for more bullets, and of course my favorite sight, the hollow. I've heard a lot of hype about this gun and I had high hopes going into this testing. I want to be able to see something that's going to rival the ACR and the MP7 because I'm so tired of seeing my kill feeds just littered with those two weapons. They're low skill weapons and it hurts to see more than half of every lobby using them. So my first few games didn't go so great. I kept getting put into games that were more than halfway over and it was super annoying, and when I did get into a game from the start, it felt like I was playing against a 4-stack or more and was just so sweaty that I had to step away for a bit, which is why the video wasn't out yesterday like I had intended it to be. And even though I still haven't got my new 240Hz monitor, I wanted to test out the new PC and put it through a quick trial run of XDefiant. So I loaded up XDefiant on it, fiddled with all my settings, and took it away. But before we get into our final thoughts on the MP5, I want to tell you about our Discord and how it's a great place to talk about just random things. I've gotten a lot of good information and recommendations from a lot of our community members, so you should definitely give it a chance, check it out. And with customs hopefully coming to this game soon, we're going to be doing a lot more things in the Discord. And I'll tell you right now, you definitely won't want to miss it. But back to the MP5. So it definitely feels better than it did before the patch, for sure. And I don't know if this has anything to do with playing on PC instead of on my Series X, which is where I normally play, but the issues with the netcode are still present because it just doesn't feel like all of my shots are registering all the time. There's just no way. And whatever was going on for me and so many other people after the Season 1 update, where the game just feels like it's on Halo's Legendary mode, seems to be back again. Maybe not quite as bad this time, but I play a lot of games and a lot of them are negative. And it's just so frustrating that I'm quitting out of a lot of them, starting off 2 and 10. And it just makes no sense because these are all either Smurfs trying to rank up their Smurf accounts to level 40 or higher so that they can Smurf in ranked, or they're all just cheaters. But most of the time I'm playing against level 40s or below, so I'm pretty sure it's just people trying to get Smurf accounts up who are already like Ruby ranked, but I digress. Occasionally I do get a decent game where it feels good and I really am enjoying the MP5, and it's right up there with my P90 build that I use almost all the time. And also the MDR now as well after the patch. This thing absolutely shreds. So I figured let's put it up against the best MP7 build that I have and see how it fares in the firing range, head to head. So for the MP5, I was able to get 0.22 time to kill for all headshots and 0.35 for all body shots. Now on the MP7, I was able to get 0.26 for all headshots, and then 0.32 was about the average for time to kill on the body. I did manage to get a 0.29, but that was only one time and I'm just counting that as a fluke. Either way, I'd say these two are pretty evenly matched now, at least at short range. So this one might actually get some more playtime out of me, even though it's going to be pretty hard to completely put down that P90, but maybe one day. So overall, I would have to put the MP5 at about a B tier right now, just out of A. And the same thing I said about the MDR, if it just gets a tiny little buff on top of what it just got, it could easily dethrone the MP7. But those are basically my thoughts about the MP5 post-patch. Now, I want to talk about something a little bit more interesting. I know some of you may have been looking forward to my post-patch review on the M16, and it's disappointing, but we're going to have to wait on that. And the only reason I was going to take another look at it was not because they buffed it or they nerfed it. They didn't really change anything to it directly. Instead, they said they fixed the issue with the recoil recovery, and now it'll return back to center after you finish shooting. So recoil recovery is a little hard to explain, so let me show you instead. This is the ACR, and this is the normal recoil pattern without me controlling it. But do you see when I stopped firing how it snapped back to the start of where I began shooting? That's recoil recovery. And if you add attachments that increase this, it'll snap back to that center point even faster. The problem they said that they fixed is when you fire and even slightly try to control the recoil by moving either your mouse or your right stick, which at this point, does anyone even play with a mouse and keyboard on this game anymore? Let me know in the comments. But if you move either of those at all, it will not snap back to where you started shooting. And you can see that in the demonstration here. This is exactly the way it was before the patch, and it's how it is now. So it's still broken. And it's sad to say that this only raises more questions. Let me throw it back to this tweet from July 4th that I'm sure most of you are familiar with, at least somewhat. And let's highlight this section right here, where Mark Rubin says, and I quote, "If you think we don't test the game with hundreds of people, then you don't know what you're talking about." So then riddle me this, Batman. If hundreds of people tested this patch, and this portion of it was supposed to be fixed, and it's so obviously not, how did it slip through? This is exactly why people say that you don't test your game. This is why we can now no longer really trust what you're saying and trust what the patch is saying is actually doing what it says. Half of the attachments in the game don't do what they say, and now we're getting patch notes that either completely lie about fixing something or don't include all of the information. Example A, having to now ADS to shoot the spider bot off your face when before you could just hip fire it. We shouldn't have to go over the patch notes with a fine-tooth comb and test everything to make sure it's actually fixed. That is just ridiculous. That's not our job. That's what the hundreds of people that they have testing their game get paid to do. So either the hundreds of people you have testing this game are either grossly incompetent or they don't exist. And I find it very hard to believe that even if you had 10 people test this patch, at least one of them could have caught this. At least one. It's an embarrassment, and I would honestly be ashamed to put my name on this type of quality testing if this is the kind of stuff that slips through the cracks. But that's just me, and I don't develop games, nor do I test them. I just play them, which is kind of like testing them. But I'm giving you the viewpoint of the consumer, which, in case they've forgotten, is the people like us who play the game, buy stuff from the store. The very same people who he told later on in this tweet to just move on if we don't enjoy the game. I know I said I would ease up on bashing this game, and truthfully, I have. I've tried to radiate positivity, tried to willfully think that this game was going to get better and the communication was going to be better. And this tweet coming back after I read the patch notes and realizing that this wasn't fixed just kind of hit the panic button in my mind. But let me know in the comments if I'm overreacting or if this tweet is going to come around and bite them in the ass. Don't get me wrong, the patch did wonders and it fixed a lot of bigger issues, like the abilities not working. But if it's not fixed, don't say it's fixed. Plain and simple. Or at least, if it's fixed and you think it's fixed, there better be something new wrong with it and not the same exact thing. That can't happen. But if you made it to the end of this video, go down to the comments right now, comment the word panda, because pandas are cool and they will f you up. And then also let me know how you feel about the MP5 post patch notes, and also how you feel about being straight up lied to in those patch notes. And I'll catch you in the next video.